everybody, it's Paige Evans. Thank you so much for joining me today here on my YouTube channel. I have a new process video and it is featuring my new Bloom Street collection with pink paisley and a butterfly border cut file, which you can find for free in my Happy Scrappy Place Facebook group, which I will leave a link to below. So I used my Silhouette Cameo and die cut the butterfly border cut file from white textured cardstock by American Crafts. It's my favorite cardstock to use with the silhouette, and then I carefully peeled it off the mat. Since it's a pretty intricate design, it took a while to get it off cleanly and make sure it didn't tear, so just take your time as you're pulling it off the mat. And then what I did is I separated the cut file in Silhouette Studio and I cut 3 inner butterflies for each butterfly. So it was a lot of cutting, it took a while, but in the end the results are worth it. So I just went through Bloom Street, pulled my favorite pattern papers, kind of went in an ombre direction, starting with the whites, going to pinks and then purples, and then ending up with some blues. So again, I just copied the inner butterfly shape, pasted it 3 times, and then cut 3 butterflies from the pattern papers to layer together inside each of these butterflies. And this is a great way to add pattern as well as dimension to your layouts. And I am using a B-side pattern paper for my background. It's kind of a busier background than I usually use, but I just went with it. I really liked all of the colors and how it also has an ombre effect on the background, going from blues to pinks and purples to yellows. So I just feel like it creates a lot of movement on the layout, having all of these patterns together. So I'm using glue to layer the 3 butterflies together in each butterfly. I am planning to do machine stitching, so if you're not planning to do machine stitching, you'll want to use a really strong adhesive to attach your butterflies in place. So just adding a little tiny dab of adhesive to the center of each butterfly and layering them back in place. And then this is when I grab my sewing machine after I add these last ones. And I have a Brother sewing machine that I got from Walmart many years ago, and it still works like a charm. So I'm trimming off that barcode strip. I know this is the direction I'm going. I actually didn't even adhere the cut file to the background. When I adhered all the butterflies in place, it kind of just stuck it down for me. And now when I'm doing the machine stitching, it does finish up attaching that cut file to the background. So I'm using my Brother sewing machine, a basic running stitch, white basic Coats and Clark thread, and just stitching down the center of each and every butterfly. So again, repetition is kind of the name of the game for this layout and most of my layouts. I like to take an element and repeat it, and that's how a lot of my layouts are created. So I am finishing up the machine stitching, trimming off the excess, and then because I didn't cut the threads between each butterfly, so they're all connected, so I'm just using a pair of scissors to trim those threads between each butterfly. And sometimes I trim the threads. In this instance, I am going to leave the thread ends long. I know sometimes this drives people crazy, but I really love the texture and whimsy and homespun look that it adds. So now I'm taking each cluster of butterflies and I'm bending them in half, folding them in half, and this lifts up the wings to give the butterflies lots of texture and dimension, and it's like they're just floating away right off the page. And these will get smushed down eventually when they're in the page protector inside my scrapbook, but I feel like even years later with layouts that I've done with similar techniques, the dimension still shows. It's still there. So don't be afraid of doing this technique, because even years and years later, the dimension will still be there. You'll still get the effect. Maybe not as dramatic as if it were hanging on the wall or in a shadow box, but it still is fun and looks cool. Okay, I know I'm spelling magical very wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. It had been a long day when I was filming this, but don't worry, I do go back in just a couple minutes here, just a couple seconds actually, and fix it to say magical spelled right. Goodness gracious. So I'm pulling pieces from my Bloom Street collection. The title is going to be Magical, and I used the puffy word stickers, and there isn't an actual word that says magical, it's just magic. But then I pulled another A and L from Miracle to finish up the magical. This photo was taken at Disney World, actually at Animal Kingdom, so everything by Disney is magical, so I thought that title was fitting. And then I mirrored the puffy word on the top right with another puffy word on the bottom left that says fun, and kind of did tone on tone, so it's blue up there on the top right and pink on the bottom left. And I added a couple more butterfly stickers. More butterflies, the merrier. And then adding sparkle and shine using the jewels, the adhesive jewels from the mixed embellishments, as well as the sequins from the mixed embellishments, and just adding those in some of the empty spaces between the butterflies. There's also a package of enamel dots in Bloom Street with flowers and hearts in colors, and then these white dots, so I added those again in the empty spaces. And then the last step will be to add journaling. I always like to write my lines with a pencil first to make sure I like the placement, using a ruler to try and get things straight, but I don't usually care if things are perfectly straight or not, so they're not even spaced evenly apart. Anyway, I decided I liked the journaling there, so then I went ahead and went over it with a blue pen. So I wrote my journaling with this blue pen, which I think brings out the blue colors in the layout. Finished up my journaling and then wrote the lines, just went over the pencil lines with the blue pen. The very, very last thing I did was erase any of the pencil lines showing. And that is the finished layout. I hope you are inspired to pick up this free cut file in my Happy Scrappy Place Facebook group. Again, I will leave a link below so you can grab it too and pick up my new Bloom Street collection with pink paisley. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again in my next video.